Hey guys, welcome to another weekly-ish reading wrap-up where I'm going to talk about all the books that I read in this last week. And today I am drinking out of this nice mug that I just bought from Walmart like a week or two ago. And this is one of the Pioneer Woman mugs, part of her collection, and I really like it. But I'm just drinking chocolate milk. It's almond dark chocolate milk. And we are going to go over the books, and I think this week I'm just going to go over them in the order that I put them in my reading journal, which is pretty much the order that I read them in. So we'll just dive in. And that means that we get to start with Where the Crawdads Sing. This one is a story about, it's set in 1969. Well, okay, it's set over a long period of time. It started out 1969 where this man named Chase Andrews is found dead in the marsh. And then we flash back to, I think 1952 is where we start, and we follow a girl named Kaya. I think that's how you say her name. Pretty much when we start, her entire family abandons her. Her mom walks out on them, and then slowly her older siblings leave, and then her 11-year-old brother leaves, and she is left as a 6-year-old with a father who has a lot of issues. And we kind of follow her throughout her growing up years, and then interspersed we get a little bit more of this mystery of this man that died, and they're trying to figure out who killed him. There's not a lot of evidence. There's no footprints around the marsh where he was killed, and there should be. And I made it, I think 100, I don't know how far, maybe like 120 pages or so. And then I DNF'd it. And then I read some spoilers as to how the book ends, and I'm so thankful that I did, because I would have hated the ending. This would have been like a book that I would want to throw across the room, because yes, I don't want to say anything. If you've read the book and you want to talk about it in the comments, we can do that, but I definitely would have hated that ending. So I dug this out of a little free library, and to a little free library it will go. Next on my list is Murder on the Links. So this was my Agatha Christie for June. I had my whiteboard out and I was trying to solve it, figure it out, and this was an interesting ride. This one we follow Poirot. He is informed by this man that his life is in danger, and he wants Poirot to come out and kind of like, I don't know, protect him, or I don't know what he really wanted. But when Poirot and Hastings get there, he's dead. And then so we get introduced to suspects, we get introduced to clues. I spent a lot of time trying to solve it. I have a whole video trying to solve it, and this definitely felt like one of her earlier books. The writing at the beginning, especially of the book, wasn't very gripping, but I felt like it got better throughout. And this was a traditional whodunit. We got the suspects, and you could figure out at least partway through. I don't think you were given all the clues right at the beginning, which is kind of what Agatha Christie does. You reveal more as you go. And I did decently trying to solve this one, I think. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. Definitely not my favorite of hers, but it was fun. And I have decided that originally my goal was to read an Agatha Christie well, first it was going to be every quarter of the year and try to solve it, and then I changed that to every month. And now I've done that for, well, actually I've done it for 8 months in a row, because I think I did one, definitely started in November. I think I did one in December. I've definitely done January through June. And now I'm feeling kind of burnt out. So I'm not going to be solving them, I don't think, for the rest of the year, unless I decide I want to. I will probably still be reading an Agatha Christie a month, because I enjoy her books, but the reading it and trying to solve it is getting a little bit old. And so what I had been doing on Patreon is sharing a longer video of me trying to solve it, and I'm going to be switching that now to a spoilery vlog of a book that I read. So the one tier on Patreon will get the chance each month to vote on which book they want me to do a spoilery vlog on, and that's what I'm going to do instead of reading an Agatha Christie each month for the rest of the year. Then the next one on my list is Birds of a Feather. So this is book 2 in the Maisie Dobbs series. This one we follow, well, it's like another person missing. Okay, so I made the mistake of kind of starting these two books at the same time. I shouldn't have done that. I have definitely found that I'm much better at reading one book at a time, contrary to how I've lived the last number of years of my reading life, but these last couple of months have showed me that one book at a time is definitely the way to go for my brain. Somehow it's helping me immerse myself more into the story and just really enjoying them so much more. Like, so I'm still DNFing books because I'm not enjoying all of them, but when I do enjoy them, I feel like it's just been elevated. So, okay, Maisie Dobbs, she is a kind of like a detective. She's really something special. I don't know if they really ever say exactly what she is. She's a sleuth, but she's got different expectations on the conclusion of her mysteries. She really wants people to resolve issues that they have in addition to just solving the mystery. So a woman goes missing and her father wants her found, and this is set during after World War I. I don't know if it actually said the year this time. I think we're like right around 1929, and there's definitely her mysteries so far, second book only, have to do with remnants of things that have happened or because of World War I. And this one, there was actually a couple women that had been killed, and then there was this woman missing, and there was some links there, and I really enjoyed it. I gave this one, I gave it 4 stars. If I had been reading just this one instead of trying to read it in between a couple other books, I probably would have given it more. The only thing that kind of comes up a teeny bit in the first book and then continues into this one that I didn't really like is she, how do I describe this? She has a lot of like, not really premonitions, but she like goes into the room where someone's been murdered and she gets these like sensations, kind of like, ooh, there's more in this room that I should be looking for. That part's a little weird, but it's such a minor part of the book that I'm totally willing to overlook that and then just enjoy the ride. And I think I can see some long-term plot things that will be coming throughout the series that I'm really excited about. I think there's like 19 books out now or something, so I got a ways to go to catch up. Definitely enjoying this series. Then my next one was A Silent Voice, Volume 3. Now I have been all over the map on this series. Book 1 follows this boy who very much bullies this girl who is deaf, and it was terrible. In my opinion, I gave it 2 stars. Book 2 had so much redemption. I gave that one 5 stars. And then book 3, I think I gave it 3.5 stars. I don't know. It was interesting. It's still him trying to make up for what he has done, what he did to her in middle school. And he wants to be her friend, but he doesn't really know how to go about that, so he goes about it in very weird ways. There is a cat cafe in here, which is interesting because that is such a fascinating Japanese-ism that really intrigues me. I don't think I'd really ever want to go to one unless I went to Japan sometime, then I would definitely have to, but they're interesting things. So I'm going to continue the series, but I feel like my star ratings are just all over the place with this one. Next up was the book 7 in the Anne of Green Gables series. This one was Rainbow Valley, and I had heard back when I started reading through the entire series that the series went downhill, and I kind of disagree. So in this one, it is weird because we don't really follow Anne at all, and we don't really even follow her children. We follow friends of her children. There's 4 kids whose father has just become the preacher of the area of the Presbyterian church. There's a couple of characters in here who are like, you know, if you're Methodist, then you're terrible, but you have to be Presbyterian. So it's like very much, you have to know which church you're talking about here. And these kids get into not tons of trouble, but into some little things that the society around them thinks are troublesome. And then one of the characters, her name is Faith. She reminded me so much of a young Anne. I had so much fun reading about her that it made up for the fact that we weren't really reading about Anne because it felt like we were reading about her. Oh, okay, so there was a couple of things that I just loved in here, and this one was so funny. It was talking about, oh, how people have been waiting for Gilbert to come home because he's the doctor. And it says, because they didn't want to see this other person, it said, when the Over Harbor doctor married the undertaker's daughter, people felt suspicious of him. It didn't look well. So they didn't want to see the other doctor because he's married to an undertaker's daughter. That cracked me up. And there's so many little, like, small town isms in here that just always crack me up. And then some characters in here kind of end up adopting a girl, although adoption back in that day was also kind of like hiring help / adoption. It was very different than now, but the one lady asks her husband, "Shall we take her?" "Yes, take her." Just like a man. "Take her, as if that's all. There are 100 things to be considered, believe me." And he says, "Take her, and we'll consider them afterwards." And I loved that part. That definitely spoke to my adoptive mother's heart. And yeah, so many fun things. The characters, the scrapes they get into. Once again, I really love this one. So I give this one 4.5 stars. Would have been like an extra half if we would have had more Anne. Maybe it should have been marketed more as an Avonlea series instead of an Anne series, because you miss her a bit. And then the last book that I have finished is Wonder Cat. So this is a manga, but it's mostly just a comic book. I believe I've shared some clips at the beginning of this video sharing a few of my favorite scenes in here. They're really cute. They're almost like each individual page is its own little comic, but they kind of build on each other. I gave this one 4 stars, and I totally would have given it more stars. I probably would have given it 5, because I am definitely a cat person over a dog person, but it kind of weirded me out that the main character was a guy. I couldn't put myself in his shoes as much as if it had been a girl, but this very much gave me vibes of the comic book Love. Just replace the books with the cats, I feel like. Yeah, and then there was also this page, which this is how I am in the evenings when I start to read. Put me in place of this cat, and that's it exactly. So apparently this is a series, so I'm going to request the next one from the library if I can get it. This feels kind of new. Oh, this is 2018. Oh no, the English edition here is 2021, so I'm not sure if the next one's out in English yet or not, but I'm definitely going to check it out if it is. Okay, so that was not a whole lot of time to talk about quite a few books. Really enjoying my reading, really enjoying this one book at a time, loving a couple books that I'm currently reading. After I say one book at a time, I'm reading one physical book and listening to one book, because I've got a lot of driving with foster care going on right now again, and so audiobook for that, physical book for when I'm sitting down and reading. And yeah, let me know something you've been reading lately that you've loved, that you think I might enjoy, and let me know if you're interested in picking up any of these books now. Thanks for watching, guys.